if you were here on Tuesday, I went I went ballistic into the Veil because on Tuesday we got information from Osiris where he basically took. While watching the video, I came to the realization that yes, it goes about the music past the portal. We don't see any characters there. But heart. True. Okay, yes, indeed. Now, you see that? I didn't know that. But there you go. Exactly. So Osiris says that there's potentially this link between the Traveler and the Veil. So there's two things going on, right? So first of all, you have the explanation that's, well, it's not an explanation, it's a character's opinion, okay, on why the Witness was able to possess our ghosts. And it's that, again, it's to do with this similarity that exists between the light and the darkness that it allows the Witness to kind of cross over. Even though they're two different things, there's some kind of like Venn diagram, like middle ground that allows the Witness to use the ghosts. And then Osiris on Tuesday said that potentially the Traveler and the Veil were a pair. Maybe they were like conjoined or they came from the same place. And when I watched that, I was like, ah, because it makes no sense. After the witness lost the Veil when the Gardener returned. So because the next known character to have it was Nezric. So it seems to me like the pyramids had the Veil, and the Witness gave it to Nezric for safekeeping in the fleet, right? That's the only thing I can think of. So we know that Nezric led the fleet against the Traveler, so it was probably like the lead ship, and I guess the goal was obviously to make this link as soon as possible, so it would make sense that the Veil would be on that ship. I don't know, dude. I think they're just making it up as they go along, but I'm just playing along. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense, right? That this machine and this organic being are like, oh, they came from they were created at the exact same time, and they were actually together, and they were the one thing, and then they split apart, and there's that. No, dude, it doesn't work like that, okay? And then I'm going to break the fourth wall and tell you that in Destiny 1, the Veil never existed for a second. Do you think that when Joseph Staten and Christopher Barrett and anybody else was coming up with the world, do you think that tumor entered their minds for a second? I do not think so. So like, yes, the Veil is something that is very clearly a new introduction. So saying that the Veil is part of the Traveler's origin story doesn't make sense. Not just because the Traveler and the Veil are so different, but also because we know that like it couldn't be. It wasn't always the case. If they make it this way, then it's only recently, and they've just shoved it in. Just like how they shoved the Witness into the Hive origin story. And then, you know, when I looked actually deeper into it, again, you look at what the purpose is. What is the Traveler? It is a tool. It is a tool. What you see it do is the action of a tool. And then even the Worm Gods specifically state it is a tool. It's not the actual light. And so, yeah. And of course, there's not much we know about the Veil, but like what we have seen, and even what we can accurately guess or estimate, it makes no sense. Like it doesn't do anything. It's not a tool. It just sits there. It literally just sits there and is used by others, but in reality it uses them. So no, these are very different things. One is a construct, the other is a manifestation. Those are two very different words. Okay. But at the end of the day, even though I say it doesn't make sense, and I show you why it doesn't make sense, The link is seemingly still there. There is still a link that is happening between the traveler and the veil. What is that? But then I started thinking about it. Well, the veil, again, when the witness entered the traveler, what did the veil do? Well, it actually did nothing. It was actually always the witness. The witness was standing in front of the traveler, and then the witness possessed our ghost and flew the ghost up to the veil, made a link between the veil and the ghost, and then shot the beam at the traveler. Technically, that was all the witness. Then there's a second part. As I could be wrong, I would need to go and double check this, but I don't actually think the portal is in the traveler. And you know what? It would be fairly easy for me to find out. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'll go download this, because I actually had to download this to be able to I had to download this to be able to use it in a video. Let me pull it up here if I can. My PC is chugging, man. I think my PC is kind of coming to the end of its life. I think it is. I mean, I've been kind of... I've not been the best owner to it, but... yeah, it is what it is. And then I type in... opening... here we go. Let me just do this and do this. Yes. And then I pull this and I do the thing where I do this, and then it doesn't actually work. So then I have to. Okay, then it does work. And then it do. Okay. So. Okay, we can skip this. Yada 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 yada. Man, I have to tell you, the opening cinematic for the final shape was actually really good. It's a shame they cut it up into 2 parts and then yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So it looks like the witness. Yeah. Nobody cares what the walking fire extinguisher says. It looks like it's actually into the traveler, but then if I remember correctly, there's a shot. Give me 1 second. Where's the? Give me the money shot. Where is it? Eh? Where it be? Where it be? Where it be? Show me. Do the thing. Do the wire. Here we go. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. It is what it is. So, as you can see, the traveler is actually fine. The witness actually didn't go into the traveler at all. It went into that portal that was in front of the traveler. Right? So again, this means that the veil, it didn't establish a link to this machine to go inside of it. It established a link to this, which is obviously connected to the pale heart, which is not the inside of the traveler, right? Do you think there's a whole ecosystem and a big thing inside of this ball? No. It's a completely different realm, a different dimension, right? It's like the Black Garden 2.0. So therefore, the pair and the connection is not between the veil and the traveler, it's between the veil's power and the traveler's power. That is the connection that allows the witness to go inside the traveler. That is the connection that allows the witness to do our ghost. And to a certain extent, you know, maybe you can kind of tie it into why we have the light and darkness, but we actually have a completely different explanation for that. Okay. So Osiris is telling you, excuse me, that the Traveler and the Veil are potentially a pair, and that there's a link and a connection between them. But he's overcomplicating it. And by extension, Bungie is just making this vague. Because when you actually look at it, the connection and the pairing is not between the Veil and the Traveler, it's between their powers. And those powers are the light and darkness. And Osiris specifically says that. He specifically says, he basically equates the Veil and the Traveler to the light and the darkness, which we know is not true, right? Like I explained, they are not the actual light and the actual darkness, but they are fueled. I guess like not fueled, but you know what I mean. They are a tool, not tool. I mean, the Traveler is a tool, but they are wielded to a certain extent. They are connected to both the light and the darkness. And even to go back to the old classic line, the line between light and dark is so very thin. Okay? Okay. So, can you imagine if I was muted that whole time? That'd be so funny. So the connection is between the light and the darkness. That is the pair. Okay? And that's a very simple, like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's a very basic concept, right? Okay. So we've established, and it makes sense, that yes, the Veil and the Traveler, they're completely two different things. They were not, like, connected together at birth or some crap like that, right? Had probably two completely different origins. In my opinion, I believe that the Traveler was constructed, and from the sounds of it, the Veil just kind of naturally formed. You know? And that's fine. It's still a tumor, but that's just how it is. But then there's the juicy part. We take it a step further. If, and actually, you know, I can just go back and I can unmute the. If the link is between the light and the darkness, what does that mean? Well, we need to explain that. Osiris says, and we're gonna twist around what he said a bit. So his original thing was using the Veil and the Traveler. We're gonna twist it around. He says that the connection exists, and that a pairing potentially existed, and at the same time, they were potentially part of the one whole, and they came from the same place. You need to explain that. And this is the sad reality. If you try and stumble through the dark and try to come up with an answer to that, to those statements, I would actually argue, and I would not be surprised if you end up having to make up your own stuff. You're going to have to make up your own explanations, and then you're going to have to take lore and put the lore through hula hoops to make that work. Whereas I can sit back and do the easy. I can take the easy route. There's an option already there. And it's the Unveiling lore book. Before the Destiny 2 universe existed, there was a different realm, and it was the original garden, and inside was a gardener and a winnower, and they did their thing, and eventually they fought. They combined their powers, fighting, and because of the strength of their powers combined, and because the realm that they were in was like extremely, like, it was, I want you to think of like soil that is the most fertile soil possible, and if you like drop a bit of water onto the soil, something's gonna grow like immediately, right? Okay, now I want you to imagine you dump a bucket of water onto it. That is kind of what happened, right? And that is how you got, and by the way, not just the Destiny universe, it was universes plural. So they create all the universes, and in my opinion, I think the Destiny universe is the unlucky one that they ended up being in the end, right? But then it all makes sense. The light and the darkness are the pair, but they come from the gardener and the winnower. They weren't necessarily one being, but they were from the one place, and the universe, the Destiny universe, came from their power being combined. And the thing about the light and the darkness, like the speaker says, the light is in all things. The light exists within the fabric of reality. The same thing goes for the darkness. Look at Deep Sight, look at Strand, look at Stasis. Oh, actually, Stasis doesn't make sense, does it? Oh, no. It's okay. We just remember, right? Just remember, I'm going to rub the salt in, right? They made a darkness subclass, and they decided to make an ice subclass for the ice destination. Yeah, you can take your darkness is the mental stuff, and you can have fun with that. Okay. But the fact is that the darkness is also, it's baked into reality. And I'm not going to get into the whole like nitty-gritty science of dark matter and atoms and whatevers, but I think the simple explanation, right? And you can just take this concept and you can just go with it, and nobody can really prove you wrong. Whatever the deepest layer is that you think exists of reality, the light and darkness probably exist beneath even that. Okay? Those things are made up of the light and darkness. So there you go. It all makes complete sense. But then the question is, okay, well, what about the gardener and the window? Like, how do you... Well, isn't that handy that I made the videos about the gardener and the window? Let me pull up... Let me pull up the details. Let me pull up the information of... I don't even know what I just uttered. That was actually disgraceful. Let me pull up the old and this is where I want you to imagine every time I say, like, let me just pull this up, give me a second. I want you to imagine that one person in this chat at random gets sent to the back rooms. Hey, listen, I don't make the rules, but I do enforce them. Where are my thumbnails? Oh, here they be. Here they be. Yeah. Yes, good. So, this is the winnower. This is the winnower thumbnail I made. This is, you know, it's an older model, but it checks out. Yeah. And then, I highly recommend that you watch this. Okay? I was still learning about bitrate and stuff like that, so the video quality, the bitrate's not the best, I apologize. But the video, I went all in on this video in terms of information, and like, just, if you haven't seen this video, and let me put it like this. I know that a lot of people don't believe the winnower exists. If you're going to come to me and you're going to tell me I'm wrong, and you're not going to really give me, you're not going to give me a reason other than, oh, it's old stuff and it's retconned, and you haven't watched that video, I'm not going to be mean to you, but I'm probably not going to take you as seriously as if you did watch this. If you watch this and then you come to me and you say, listen, dude, I watched a video and you actually missed a point here. There's actually a contradiction here, and there's actually this piece of lore that goes against what you said here. I am straight up going to say to you, thank you, I'm going to look at this, and if I'm wrong and you're right, I will thank you again. Because remember, I don't care about being right, I care about knowing what is right. Okay, anyway. Let me find my gardener thumbnail. Because that is possibly one of the thumbnails that I spent the most amount of time on, full stop. Like, full stop. But, there's no way that I deleted it. I know I put it in my, I know that I put it in my... Surely I put it in my server, right? Yes, I did. I know I did. There's no way I didn't. Yes, I did. I did. There you go. Wait a minute. There you go. This is my gardener video. Now, for the record, there's actually less information, in my opinion, about the gardener than the winnower. So a lot of the gardener stuff is actually in the winnower video too. So if you had to watch one, I would watch the winnower video. And this one isn't as long, but yes. So my point is, showing you these two. These are two characters that even if Bungie decides to retcon them, they 100% existed. And I would argue they 100% existed up until this very moment right now. And I'm not going to get into who they are, their motivations, whatevers. But I will say this. The gardener, more likely than not, is the one who controls the traveler. Cool. Nice. When the witness is going inside of the traveler to get the light, I explained in my video, if the witness wants the light, there are other ways of getting the light. You know? There's plenty of other ways to get the light, bro. It doesn't want to destroy the traveler. And it... I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Like, I always assumed it was going after the gardener. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to just slam it on the table. The idea of a final shape is that the final shape and the pursuit of the final shape is the equivalent of the flower game in this universe. Who will win? The winner gets to not just live, but also dictate the future and the rules of the universe. The gardener and the winnower are also players in this game because they also have things they want to do to this universe. You know what the problem is? The problem is that they straight up created the universe, that the universe is made up of their powers, and so they're just automatically at the top of the food chain. So if you are not either of those two, and you want to have a final shape, you have to go through either one of them or both of them. The truth is it's going to be both of them. The witness is the child of darkness. It has a connection to the winnower. That is undeniable. I don't believe it is on the same path as the winnower. In my opinion, the witness is literally a pawn of the winnower, and the witness probably doesn't even know it. But if the witness wants a final shape, more likely than not, it's going after the gardener. And if it's going after the traveler, and it's going inside the traveler, it's going after the gardener. And they're talking about somebody screaming. And then, like Solved Alloy said here, or showed here, they're screaming. And actually, speaking of the screaming, okay, Alloy, I want you to remind me about the screaming later. Make sure I don't forget. Okay. And then I made a video talking about why am I still hopeful for a gardener reveal. It's because of the Veiled Woman statues. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but the reality is this. 99.950% of any information, anything regarding that statue points to the gardener. And that is something that has not been explained yet, and yet it is in the final shape. Now, it is one of two things. It is either a representation of the gardener, or it's just some random bit of pyramid technology. Well, isn't it convenient that this is the expansion that's the last chance to do anything with either of those two topics? So either way, the statue is going to get answers in this expansion, and I'm putting my money on it being the gardener. Okay, cool. So the gardener, there you go. But what about the winnower? Okay. Now, the winnower is actually a bit of a tricky subject. Because the winnower operates completely differently to the gardener. The winnower is, in my opinion, the apex predator of the Destiny universe. I guarantee you, if Blair is here, I don't know if Blair is a guy or a girl, but I'm just gonna say they, whatever. I guarantee you, if Blair's here, they're saying, "Oh my goodness, this dude is just coming up with this random stuff, this fanboy." No, all things considered, the winnower is one of the two creators of the universe and is very clearly the stronger of the two. Therefore, the winnower is the apex predator of the Destiny universe. When I studied the winnower's lore, it became clear to me that the winnower sees the universe as a mistake. Everything has to die. Nothing is worthy. Because, let me put it like this. The winnower did not intervene at all in the original Flower game, right? Like you can't say like it killing something when it like the rule was it needed to be killed because it whatever the the game worked. That's not it intervening. That's it just following the rules of the game, right? The gardener changing the rules, that was the gardener interfering. But the winnower never interfered in who won or lost that game. Because the winnower was completely fine. It was just, this is the game, this is how it works, and it works fine. Who cares if it's only the one winner all the time? It's fine. It's cool. Okay. In the Destiny universe, because the gardener is... Well, first of all, because the universe is out of both of their control, the game is actually no longer structured, and it's a mess. But second of all, because the gardener is giving golden ages, that means even if somebody does win the game of the universe, it probably shouldn't have. And so what I ended up realizing is that the winnower is looking at the universe, and it's a whole mistake. There is no, like, it's completely butchered. It's not salvageable. It's ruined. Like, GG. But the winnower is a player too. So the winnower is like, screw it. The gardener wants to be in the game and wants to give these okay, fine. I'm going to just win the whole thing. I'm going to win the whole thing. It's not about winning. It's about making the other person lose. And so the winnower doesn't care if you are on their side or not. The winnower doesn't care if you want to help him. The winnower doesn't want your help. The winnower doesn't need your help. But if you offer it, the winnower's not going to say no. So here we come down to the fun part. And I'm not going to... I said I would. I don't know. I don't know if I should go into it or not. I might just make a video on it. I don't know. But long story short, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that the veil is actually the winnower's way of just manipulating everybody into doing his work for him. And yeah, basically started off with the pyramids. Literally mastermind, Darth Sidious level genius, 5-head, 6D chess. Yeah, that's just, yeah, it's that level of GG. Straight up, presumably beat the Traveler because it ended up in the dirt. Doesn't destroy it though. Traveler gets recovered by this race. The Traveler gives him a golden age. the winnower doesn't do a collapse. Interesting. Guess what happens? The race gets bored of the light and the gardener and feels a lack of purpose. 1. They have already inherently by themselves proven the winnower's logic correct to a certain extent. They find the veil. Now what's interesting is the whole turn of the pyramid race is simply based off of them finding the veil. And then as soon as they found the veil, they're like, oh guys, we know about the final shape. And we know that we can do this to the traveler. Bro, that wasn't them learning about it by themselves. I think they were told. I think the veil either told them or it influenced what they learned from it. In my opinion, the winnower turned them against the gardener. So then what happens? They turn on her, but not only do they turn on her, they have been given one of the most, if not the most powerful golden ages in existence. Their golden age technology, being the Black Fleet and resonance, is still the most powerful technology in the Destiny universe. That is now pointed at the Traveler. You're talking about the old lore, where Rasputin potentially represented a threat to the Traveler. This is on a whole different level. Point 2. They're now going to chase the Traveler around the universe and basically do the winnower's job for him. That's win number 2. Win number 3. They become the witness. Actually, it's 2 wins in 1, bro. It's 2 wins in 1. 3 and 4. They become the witness. Now they're permanently tethered to the darkness, a dog on a leash. And 4, why does the winnower need to give them a collapse? They can do it for him. They destroyed their own golden age. It's literal GG. And then the same thing happened with the Hive. And yeah, it's just yeah. And I think to a certain extent it kind of, I don't know, it's a bit iffy. And I was thinking about it, and I'm actually not convinced anymore that Callus spoke to the witness in the Glycon. I'm not convinced it was the witness. And I know some people might be like, well, dude, it's confirmed. And here's the thing, I understand that, and there's the whole the voice in the darkness thing. But the witness, we know. So when the thing with the Glycon happened, and Presage, right? The witness was already in the system. Okay, keep that in mind. The witness is in Soul. But to speak to the witness, Callus has to do this intricate ritual with Dead Scorn so that the witness can possess it and speak to Callus through it? And how did that go? Not too well. I don't remember exactly what was said to Callus, but I'm not even 100% sure we know what was said to Callus. But I tell you this much, it did not end well for anybody. For sure, it did not end well at all. And then you had the infestation of egregore everywhere. Now fast forward to Lightfall, sorry. The witness is just teleporting. The witness teleports to Callus. No, I know what the easy answer is. Oh, it's just Bungie and their writing. Okay, cool. But now, we know that egregore is connected to the Veil. Do you know who else was summoned into a dead being to be communicated with? The Winnower. So let's talk about the Winnower, right? I told you the motivations very, very briefly, and I told you the whatevers. So the Winnower actually properly is introduced to us as a character in the Book of Sorrows. Or the Books of Sorrow, whatever. And the Winnower is referred to as the Deep. The Deep and the beautiful final shape. Those two words. The Deep and the beautiful final shape. And then the location is also called the deep, but it's also referred to as, what is it, like the deep, which is the darkness, or the darkness, which is the deep, whatever. And for the record, this is 100% a location, because not only does it specifically state that Oryx goes into this location, later on, he gets annoyed because his siblings are trying to do it, but they don't have the Tablets of Ruin, but they can't. But he's still annoyed. Bro, why are you trying to do this, you bingus? Stop it. So it's 100% a location. 100%. Okay, cool. And he needs the Tablets of Ruin to actually be able to go inside. Now, what's actually said there and how the conversation goes, we do not know. It is not recorded. What happened? All we know is that when Oryx came back out of that, he was the Taken King then. But later, Oryx speaks to the deep again. Except he's not in the deep. He doesn't go to the deep. He instead takes an unborn ogre and summons the deep. And that is the majestic calcified fragment that makes up that chapter of the Books of Sorrow. And that is when we first get a really good glimpse at the Winnower's personality, and also, you know, the whole concept of the final shape and what that means to the Winnower. But now let's tie that back again to the whole egregore, summoning, dead, scorn, voices. Yeah. And at the same time, the whole many dead voices thing is also kind of been associated with the veil. And your own voices and stuff like that. So for the record, I'm actually not too convinced that this truly was the witness that Callus talked to on the Glycon. But regarding my point aside, the one indisputable fact is that the egregore is linked to the veil. So, what am I thinking? The Winnower very well may be connected to the veil. I mean, okay, no. It is a fact that the Winnower is connected to the veil, because the veil is a manifestation of darkness and the Winnower controls the darkness. Even if the Winnower is not inside of the veil, it's still connected to it. Cool. That being said, because we know that the deep actually is its own location, and we know that seemingly light and darkness can merge with each other and interact with each other, if the ghost, or sorry, if the veil and the power of the veil can cut into the traveler, or rather the pale heart, right? Then can it not be the other way around? Oryx might have had to go through the whole Tablets of Ruin wombo combo stuff, but we have the Master Key. And so, if there is a pale heart, and that is inside the traveler, and we know there is a pale heart equivalent for the darkness, it kind of has to be inside the veil. Now, this isn't perfect, this whole explanation. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it makes sense. At a core level, it makes sense, right? So if the deep is inside of the veil, then that means the Winnower is. And so ultimately, that is this first part of the veil theory, actually breaking down the truth behind the veil and the traveler. They've effectively just gone the darkness traveler route, where they have the light traveler and the darkness traveler. That is what the veil effectively is. I think it's lame. I think it's cringe. It's not perfect. I think they still have plot holes from this. And I say they and not me because, for example, everything that I have told you is straight up backed up by the lore. And yet, like, when I phrase everything the way that I have, and I tell you exactly the lore that I'm taking this from, this makes sense. And yet there is still conflicting lore, right? The lore actually, like, for the record, the winnower is called the Formless One. Okay, cool. And so you would assume that the winnower is contained to the deep, the location. And yet Maracena actually kind of goes against that. So it's... At the same time, the winnower straight up has said, I'm on my way. Well, we've never heard anything. It would make sense that we've not heard anything if the winnower has actually just been in the Veil the whole time, and the winnower knew that we would go to it. But, I mean, to be fair, the winnower actually could have meant that as a reference to the fact that the winnower knew that the Veil, or not the pyramids were going to get the Veil and then bring it to the Traveler, which is technically the same thing. But, like, my point is this. The lore is sound, and it completely is concrete, but there's still some, like, little loose ends, right? Finally, what does this mean? I made a membership only video where I talked about the natural conclusion of the Destiny universe and how darkness falls. And I think that this is actually something that I can add on to what I talked about there, which is that the Veil actually represents the true weakness of the darkness. Because if the winnower is inside if the winnower is inside the Veil, remember, and this is the beautiful difference between the winnower and the gardener. The gardener has the Traveler. What does the gardener do? The gardener runs. The gardener runs away all the time. That's basically the amount of... Can you imagine the mileage that thing has? But, the Veil isn't going anywhere. We figure out how to get inside of it. It just has to sit there. And the beauty of this is that once we free the pale heart of the witness, if we actually figure out that we need to go inside the Veil to stop the darkness, it's helpless. It's a reverse Uno. We've been sitting here helpless for like a year and a half, or it's going to be a year and a half, while the witness is inside the Traveler. It's going to be the other way around. It's going to be payback. The Veil just has to sit there in Neomuna while we get ready to go inside of it, and it's GG. And the lore all backs it up, right? What is the other thing that's to do with the Veil? The fact that if you do anything with it, you're done, you're toast. Veil containment clearly shows that. You try and mess with it. Actually, it's not even, for the record, it's not even mess with it. It literally gives off radiation. The reason why it's in a bunker like that is to protect Neomuna from radiation. So even if it's just sitting in a field somewhere, living creatures are going to start to die or get cancer or, I don't know. It's a tumor. What do you expect is going to happen? So, yeah, like, it doesn't need to run away. That's literally not what's going to happen. If there's anybody who could, like, and I'm not even saying it's a fact that there's something inside the Veil or that we can go inside the Veil, but I'm saying if that is a thing and we need to go inside, we are the only characters who can do it. And when I say characters, I do mean the Guardians. Because we have not just the light and the... So not only, I guess, do we have the light and we can go inside, and we have the darkness as well. By us having the light and darkness, that's basically a fail-safe that we can get inside. There's a good chance that if the Traveler opened up a portal to the Veil, with the light we could go inside too. But having the darkness as well is kind of the fail-safe. But then there's the fact that we don't just have the darkness, we have our umbral center. That is what we get the darkness from. And again, I specifically have that dialogue from the Winnower at the end of the video where the Winnower says, I truly value you. The gardener sees you as a means to an end, but to me you are majestic, majestic. The winnower only talks about two things being majestic in the whole universe. Himself and the final shape, because the two are the same, and us. He says the final shape is full of the only thing that's basically worth anything at all. He says we're full of the only thing that is worth anything at all. Again, that's tied into my video where I say that we are the true final shape. It's all coming together, boys. So again, that's another reason why we would be, at the very minimum, allowed to go inside. And then, yeah, boom, GG. Now, am I saying that this could all happen in final shape? I don't think so. I don't know. I would rather the winnower get a proper reveal, and I would rather the winnower get dealt with in a later expansion. But my point is this: I'm not trying to pace things out with this theory. I'm not trying to structure story missions here. I am telling you what the lore... So I'm looking at a concept, which is the veil, and the proposed explanation by a character, which is that the veil and the traveler are a pair, that they were potentially attached to each other, or that they came from the same place, or that they were once whole. And that concept I fundamentally disagree with. And so I have used the lore to successfully, in my belief, disprove that, but also I have used the lore to give you an explanation that is backed up by that same lore as to what's actually going on. And then, if I'm right, I can try and give you a glimpse of the potential future that Bungie might be setting up. It is what it is. And that is everything that I really have to say about that. And what I will say, though, actually, is, like the video says, that was part 1. So that is the big boy topic, right? That's the big, deeper, whatever. Part 2 is going to be about something different. Part 2 is going to be about the connection between the Veil and the Pyramid Race. I said I was going to make this video a while back, and I just never have gotten around to it, but it's a concept that I still maintain and I still believe. And it is that the Veil, all I'm going to say is this. If you want to try and figure out what I'm going to be talking about in my video before I talk about it, how about you go to where the Veil is and you take a look at what the area is called, and you take a look at that. And also, how about you take a look at the Cloud Arc? Yeah. But that's gonna be part 2, and I'm probably gonna be making that probably next week.